Hi everyone. We had a little technical difficulty, so sorry for starting a minute or two late. I hope you are still with us. I see at least a dozen of you are. That's great. So I hope you can all see my screen, and I hope you can all hear me. And we'll see if we can move right into this session. So welcome to the webinar called Finding the Right Customers. If you didn't take the prerequisites, I know some of you joined today and have not. The next one is coming up April 14th, so please take advantage of that as well. For those of you who don't know me, this is me. The sort of my best version of myself. I think I look the best in that I have in years, so we're going to keep it at that, no matter what the look really is. And so today, what you can learn during this workshop, finding the right customer, or customers, is that we're going to work on how you can prioritize your customer segments that best fit your product or service. And then we're going to determine the criteria for assessing the customer value. And then we're going to score, you will have an opportunity to score each customer segment to determine the value of the product, who provides you with the most value. So right now I'm going to ask you to address a couple polls. So let's post the first poll, shall we? Okay, so you should see the first poll, and if you would take time now to just answer this, we want to find out where people are from. And for those of you who come to multiple webinars and answered this question multiple times, I thank you. We store this information for our statistics and for our funders, so we appreciate it. So most of you have voted. Let's wait one more second or so. Okay, so let's post the results of this. You're all my homies. You're all from Chicago and suburb areas, so that's just awesome. All right, let's show poll number 2. So we want to know whether you actually did take the how many of you took the prerequisite. Again, remember I said if you haven't been able to take it, then there's one coming up April 14th. Again, it's a webinar. So, you know, I see we're voting. We're voting and voting. We'll wait a couple more 10 seconds or so and see what the results are. Okay, let's close the poll. Everybody's voted. Yay! So there you go. So those no people, we want you to convert to taking it soon. So because you will understand the future sessions that we do better if you take this Introduction to the Growth Wheels session that I am doing once a month. So if you can't do it on April 14th, I do it once a month to help you learn about that. Okay, so let's look at what you're going to do during and after this workshop. As you join this webinar, the Growth Wheel tool, the favorite customers will be sent to you. And then you will also get an article called The Best Customers. And finally, at the end of this call, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and dialogue with me, to provide feedback on the webinar, and to set up an appointment with a business advisor. And if you want to do the latter, what you will do is after the webinar, you'll call the front desk, and I'll have more information at the end of the webinar. But the front desk arranges all of our appointments, and you can make an appointment with somebody then. Okay, so let's talk about what Growth Wheel is. A set of tools for business owners to work through their issues, and it's a way that you can work on your business on your own or with a business advisor, and find out whose businesses. It can work with any businesses that are any size, stage of growth, or industry in 20 areas that all businesses have to address in their life. I see I have a question from Jennifer. And it says, is the webinar going to take place today? This must have happened before when we had our technical difficulties. And there is, and hi my friends. Yes, you should be able to get the video conference now. So I hope everything is going okay, that you can see as well as hear what I'm having to say. So now I'm going to have you look at what a image of the growth wheel. And the growth wheel really says that all businesses have 4 things to deal with. You have to have a good idea. And one of the people on the phone is going to be importing Peruvian coffee. You all will love that. So that's an attractive business concept because it's, we know we all love coffee in this great city and suburbs area. And so that will be a concept that's an attractive concept. Then you have to also develop lasting customer relationships, and it's much harder to get new customers than it is to work with existing customers. So you want to create vehicles in which customer relationships are continually fostered. So those are an external focus. And then internally, you have to create efficiencies of scale. You have to learn how to create the same fabulous end product or service repeatedly, so that whether it's customized or otherwise, it has to be done in an efficient and effective way. And over the years, you have to figure that out. And then you also have to have a strong organization, like your business processes and your board and your staffing. Those are all part of a strong organization. All 4 of these concepts actually are divided then into 5 areas. And the focus areas in these are such to help you really look at different elements, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But there's a screening tool that we use called the Growth Wheel 360, which we give you in that introduction, Growth Wheel introduction, which I think we're going to change to calling it Assess Your Organization Introduction to Growth Wheel Tools. Right now it's called Finding Your Way When You're Stuck using Growth Wheel Tools. And it's just a too long title, so I'm morphing that. But the Growth Wheel 360 screening helps to quickly create an overview of all the challenges that are or may be on the mind of you, the business owner. And it becomes a scorecard where an advisor and an entrepreneur can draw up a visual profile of how the business is doing and identify future growth opportunities and obstacles. The result is then that the business owner tends to have a clearer picture and overview of what to focus on next. So here's what the parts of the growth wheel look like. So you can see the 20 areas, and you can learn more about the whole wheel later. But today we're going to focus on the business concept. And within the business concept, we're going to focus on what's in the customer portfolio right here. So what's your intent or objective when you think about pulling off the right customers? Do you want to attract new customers? And do you want to retain current clients? And as we look at the next one, are you at the place where you can figure out your best client? Do you want to wean yourself away from not so great clients? Sometimes as business people we find ourselves in the dilemma where we have acquired the wrong customers. Wrong is in the sense that they are not the best match for our products or services or personalities. Also, they tend not to be as profitable for our company. So how do we find out who are the right customers for our particular business solutions? And how do we weed out the slackers or the aggravators or the bad fits? One way to potentially identify new customer groups is to make a systematic analysis of them. We call that segmentation. Dividing the market into certain similar categories or segments and using these as the source of info for planning the best for the business sales and also for marketing efforts can be very useful. The bottom line is you prioritize the absolute best customers and seek to build connections with them. So let's look at segmentation. So when we talk about segmentation, we're going to talk about the big buckets of differentiators regarding potential clients that impact their buying behaviors. Here, this is in the article that I sent you, so you don't need to write this down. So just listen and think about this. When you look at the demographics of what do your clients or your best clients have in common? Are they of a certain age or marital status? Are they having a certain income level? And these are just, I mean, you can make the bucket of the income or revenue levels anything. It doesn't have to be on the tens as it is here. Are there, when we look at the groupings of people, are there more, where do most of the people that are likely to buy this live or congregate, hang out? And you might put in the question thing, like if there's other things that you think are demographics that are important to descriptions of your clients, you can contribute that here. So there's a question area that some of you have found already, and you can use that area to type in a comment as well. And I'll try to periodically glance at that. So the second area of customer segmentation information is geography. So when we talk about, this is all that slide was. So when we talk about geography, we're looking at things like where are they located, or where do they go to purchase things that you are selling. So when we talk about the sector, we talk about consumers, and that B2C, as you know, is business to consumer, or businesses, which is what we call B2B, or public institutions, like not-for-profits or schools or government agencies. In terms of the market, how wide is the scope of our market? Are we looking at specific areas? Would we look at in the world? Are we marketing to the world? Probably not. Are we marketing to a specific country? Are we looking for certain zip codes? Again, we drill down to the location. Are we going to look at specific trade issues in terms of geography? Where is the most trade? Like if you're trading in lobsters, you are trading all over the world, but perhaps you're only going to sell locally. If you've got a service that could be worldwide, like you can do it remotely, where are you going to start? Because you don't want to drill down you want to drill down to be more specific. So I have a question from, let's see, Marshall. Could you speak to this in the context of B2B relationship? I've seen this, but always seems product sales related. I really don't understand your question, Marshall, so could you try again? And I'll see if I can come back to that. This is in your article, so that may also explain more. But we do need to, when we talk about business to business, what we're really meaning is that while our product or service may serve consumers, the people who buy our products and services are other businesses who then sell it to their clients. So that's part of what this is about. Moving on. The other thing I would say is you may want to serve clients in certain zip codes. So have you examined which ones bring you the most revenue? And are they related to each other in some way geographically? Are there similar businesses or clients that you can go after in those same regions? Say possibly, are there industrial parks or research corridors, for example? So those are some things to think about in terms of geography. Okay. So now we want to look at purchase behavior. What do I mean by that? Well, in purchase behavior, we're starting to get into what we call the psychographics, but we're looking also like in, how do they buy? So what is it that people care about? Is it that they care about quality? Like, think about these Apple Watches that are coming out. People are not, they may be buying quality, but they're really buying to be the first users. So when we look at and all of the glitziness of the functionality. So also, do people have a certain time of purchase? For example, we know that Halloween costumes have seasonal timing. We see those popping up in like September, but they're gone by November 3rd with the after sales. Are there certain events or timing of annual budgeting that is important to your client? In other words, they know that they have a big budget at the beginning of the year, and they have to, but at the end of the year, if they haven't spent it all, they may have a big buying spree. So you need to look at and know about that for your customers. Also, the size of purchase. Do people purchase a lot? Do your purchasing decision makers purchase a lot? Do they purchase once in a blue moon, but then they purchase a lot, or they tend to purchase in smaller orders more frequently? So that's something to consider. And then price sensitivity. Are they, what's your market sensitive to? Are they, if it's a couture thing, there's more flexibility to have a high price. But if you're competing, if your product is competing in more of a utilitarian way, then people are going to be looking at average price. And if you're trying to sell something that Target sells, for example, they're going to be low price sensitive, which means it's going to be very hard to compete in that arena. I would also say, the other thing I wanted to note about this was that from this analysis, you can determine if you want to shift your marketing strategies to larger customers and more consistent sales, for example, or if you are, because of your size and industry, it's easier for you to stay small and you're looking for smaller purchasing companies, but purchase more frequently because it helps your bottom line and the effectiveness of your overall organization to have consistent sales over time, more consistent sales over time. So then, let's look at the next area of criteria, which is psychological descriptors. So when we look at psychological descriptors, we're looking at things that like how willing are people to take risks? Are they able to excuse me, make decisions themselves? Are they, how do they make the decisions? Do they tend to make it through more intuitive channels, or are they more analytical? Does it matter whether they have high or low technical skills, or do they have a lot of consumer experience or not? How does their lifestyle impact what they do? A minimalist, for example, may not want to have something with a lot of fluff, and they may carry that over into their business decision. And what are their value systems? So you may well discover that some of your clients love to tell stories, for example, while others like to get right to the point of the sales transactions and discuss those specifics and how they impact their systems. Or you can look at their lifestyles and attitudes to the industry they or you are in. Learning about personality preferences through MBTI, which is the Myers-Briggs Type Inventory, DISC, which is a work behavior-based inventory, or Kolbe learning styles, could help you to determine ways to talk to your clients in which they're more willing to hear you and process with a good outcome for you. So when we look at this next slide, it really sort of captures what I just talked about in this area of customer segments. So when we look at demographics, they include things like, in addition to what I talked about in terms of age and life stage, gender, nationality, education, cultural issues are often very much at play in the decisions of your decision maker. How highly educated or technically educated your decision maker is or is not comes into play. When we look at geography, we talked about these 4 sectors. When we look at purchase behavior, we talked about these issues. And finally, with psychology, we look at these kinds of issues. So I don't particularly like this circle with the dot. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't instruct you at all. So if any of you have a clue of how that's helpful, let me know, but I'm not real fond of it. But I do think it does give you a sense of how integrated all 4 of these things are and the work that you need to do to really understand your customer better. This framework is in the article being sent to you, and it summarizes the detail for the various criteria for grouping customers into segments. So within each of these groups, there are criteria to further define your potential customers, and which ones are relevant are entirely dependent on your type of business and your business concept. The point is, you might have far more potential customers than you originally thought. While everyone is my client is as false as no one, it's true that the more you focus on your ideal client or customer, the more able you will be to address their specific needs, problems, or gaps. Prioritizing your most attractive customers, the ones you make the most money on, is very important. Some are profitable right away, some over the long term. Some are never really profitable, but serve as excellent references. So in that way are useful to your business as well. And they help you get other customers. Some are easy and less expensive to reach. Some are more loyal. So you get to choose. You really get to choose, but you need to be figuring out what criteria you're using and be discerning. Now I'm going to introduce you to our tool, our growth wheel tool. Every tool in the growth wheel structure has a title and benefit, an intention, a process, next steps you could take, and most importantly, it has a space for focusing on your ideas and working through it. There's also a place for you to name it and date it, so that if you're working with a business advisor and want to give him or her a copy, they will know whose sheet it belongs to. Okay, so let's look at this. So here's the title, Favorite Customers, and the purpose of it is right here, to focus on the most valuable segments and customers. And so here's the intention, and I'm going to read through that with you. By proactively choosing the customers you want to work with, you can ensure that you get the most out of your sales and marketing efforts. So that's really important. You want to not use a scattergun approach, but really get focused on who is the most likely to be the best fit for your products and services. So deciding on the criteria to prioritize your customers and making a scorecard can help you confirm your gut feeling about the customers you should pursue. So this tool was sent to you. Again, which of these are relevant are entirely dependent on your type of business and your business concept. As we said earlier, the more you focus on your ideal customer, the more able you will be to address their specific needs, problems, or gaps. So let's take a look at how to work with this tool. The process is that you're going to start making a list of current or future customers you want to prioritize. So if you did that, if you had names of people, you just list them here. See where it says customer or future customer names. And you can state the name of the customer segment or the individual. So if you know you want to serve women who do beading, so that's maybe your customer segment in Chicagoland, particularly on the northwest side. That's a customer segment. But if you know Mary Jane and Susan Smith and Julia Jones, you're going to put their names here. So then you're going to think about your criteria for scoring the customer value and change the criteria if you like. So here are some sample criteria, which you can just take a quick look at. So does this person have short or long-term value? Are they valuable as a referral agent? Do I have ease of access to them, or are they always not accessible because they're too busy or whatever? Do we have customer loyalty here? Do we have shared values? Do they do good work in the world? And are those important to me? So you want to think about those, but before you decide on them for Mary, Jane, and Julia, you want to give a rating of how important this criteria is for you. And you know, you can always add other criteria as well. These are just a starting point. So create the criteria for yourself in terms of the value you want, as it says here. So you review the criteria, and then consider if all the criteria should have the same weight, or if some things are more important to you, then you could up the number, and so that you can give weighting. Don't make this really complicated, though. The idea is to use this to ferret out how you really sense, and to give your intuitive sense some analytic data to help you build confidence about your choices. Then start scoring and continue to give scores, and we recommend not more than 1 to 5 points per element and per customer segment or individual, and calculate the scores. Now, the value of doing this is the process, as it always is with every business tool that we have. So you can see where you drive this process. You make the decisions. The weighting just gives you more information. If, in fact, your gut says, yeah, they're really not that important, then I think you need to go back and look at, you know, why did I put these things here? And why is that person more important or less important than the score indicates to me? So that you have a good sense about whether this is a good decision maker, purchaser to pursue or not. Then finally, in the next steps, knowing what your customer priorities, you can now focus on the customers that provide the most value to you. So hopefully this will take intuitive sense or unknowns and put it into a known category for you to develop over time. See if there's anything else I wanted to say. The process of scoring and comparing value amidst other customers will also help you be more confident and removing less effective clients so that you have more time and resources to effectively serve clients who do or will value your products or service more. Now I'm going to show you something that is not in your handout, so you might want to jot this down. This is from an article that we had in a previous workshop, and the article is called Understand Your Customer. And I thought it fit this sort of figuring out the diagnostic stuff too. I think once you figure out, you know, as you're figuring out the information on the tool before, you may also want to be thinking about what's their situation. You might find that somebody who's normally a great customer is in a situation where they are dealing with something personal and they're really not available to have the kinds of conversations that you would have that would lead to decision making. Or you might find that they're, you know, they're doing trade shows or they're out of the country, so it's just not the right time. Maybe some of them are very skilled and will embrace this product offering very quickly, and maybe some people will need to be more thoroughly educated as to the value of it. You know, how much are they considering using, and what are they currently buying? Are they currently buying from you? Are they buying from somebody else? What makes that somebody else attractive to them in your basic opinion? These are all things that can help you with this process. So now let's talk about making adjustments to your customer mix. Well, the first thing, of course, you can do is customize your product or service. One of our former clients, Green Home Experts, who is a wonderful green home product supplier in Oak Park, including like cabinets and tiles, but also cleaning products and other interesting green products for your home, including a nursery of plants in the spring, just sent me a survey. And what I loved about the survey, which I haven't taken, I'm going to take right after the webinar, is that it is like she told me it'll only take me 10 minutes, so I can figure out when I've got 10 minutes today. And if it had only been 5, she would have probably told me it would be 5. I did a survey for a not-for-profit, and they said this should take you about 10 minutes, and it was like a 30-minute process for me. It was extremely lengthy, and by the time I was done, I was extremely grumpy that I wasted my time and sort of felt like tricked into doing something. So if you're going to customize your product and service, do solicit information from your potential or your current clients, but be very clear about how much time it will take and what you're going to do with the information. Sometimes you don't even need to survey your clients formally. You've gotten enough feedbacks on your sales calls to be able to adapt to your environment readily. Also, you want to adopt your media messages based on who you find are your real customers. I will tell you that most people that are involved in selling products and services find out that their products, not only do their products and services morph, but their target market morphs, and they get clearer who their product or service really serves. And therefore, they need to adapt their marketing messages to address them more effectively. So parsing what you have to what they need most is usually best. And then you need to select different vehicles to carry your messages. For example, certainly your website, your phone messages, your phone conversations, your email, your email signature, and other marketing collateral should align with what you now know about your customer mix and what they need. Again, you want to be very selective in targeting. And finally, you want to approach your clients with more aligned sales strategies. So marketing and sales, people often mix up, but they aren't really the same. And so you really want to build that as well. So you can offer different excuse me, price points to different groups of customers. For example, if you serve nonprofit organizations, you may offer lower price points because you know they have a tighter budget than many for-profits might have. Serving large organizations with bulk rates is another option. And as you grow, you may employ salespeople that best fit certain customers. By accommodating the customer in this way shows respect, and you can strengthen the customer's interest in doing business with you. Now, most of the comments that I'm saying today are included in the article that I'm sending you, so I'm hoping you're not, breaking your pencil trying to write what I say. Also, segmentation, customer segmentation can save you expenses. You can, when you know who you're targeting, you can send the right messages through the right vehicles versus littering the world with brochures. Instead of mass mailing, maybe you target 10 clients for well-worded emails followed by a focus, script, or at least bulleted phone call conversations. So you want to be able to find the low-hanging fruit, the ripest possibilities, and you'll also have the result of a sharper database because you have more relevant clients. So what's next? So I want you to work through this tool that I've introduced to you, Favorite Customers, on your own. And then make an appointment to see me or Cynthia Johnson if you're an established business. And we are certified growth wheel advisors in the Chicago area. If you're outside of Chicago, you should find your closest SBDC. Most of them are using the growth wheel tools now. And in order to find your local SBDC, you just go to sbdc.gov and type in your state. So I'm going to ask you a few more poll questions because I've talked a lot. So I'm going to ask you to respond to the next poll, if you would. So we want to find out how you found out about this website. I know some of you got an email blast from me, so yay, that worked. I'm glad to see that. And 70% of you voted. Keep coming. I know you're there. All right, we're almost there. Great. So, hey, looks like my e-blast worked. I am so glad. This is good to know. Okay, let's go to the next poll. Okay, so on this one, we want to know how long you've been working on your business. So the first people were the most established. Now we're getting more. Half of you have voted. This is great. We're almost there. Okay, so some of you are at the concept stage. Let's show the poll. And half of you are planning but not generating revenue. I'm guessing that some of you are, more than a couple of you are from the Plan for Profit workshop. And we've got some people a little bit in business, so that's great, in established businesses. Okay, so going on, we will look at other next steps. One of the things that after I said you should contact with us and schedule an appointment, and remember the counseling is always free with the Small Business Development Center. And so you can determine which additional tools you might want to work through to break through the next level of planning that you've prioritized. And also I want to remind all of you that we have a an in-person clinic coming up this Friday morning from 9:30 to 11:30 or 12, and we will have a couple counselors on hand to work with you on the growth tools. So those of you who've worked through some of these tools, you'll be able to get some peer support as well as get some input from the counselors that are there. I may do another quick PowerPoint on the growth of businesses and have that article available for you too, or I may just give you the article. So I think there'll be some great resources on Friday, and I do hope you'll register for that. Okay, so let's have a couple more polls before we pass on to the next level. And so here's the next one. So we want to know whether you've worked with us before. And we're almost there. Okay, we've got it. Let's close the poll. We've all voted. So almost half of you have not worked with us before. So come on in, for goodness sake. What are you waiting for? Are you really wanting to do this business? Because if you are, we're here to help you. So think about that. Okay, so, and then also you can go to the source of these tools, which is growthwheel.com, if you want to learn more about that. Okay, so a couple more polls, just because I love hearing from you. And we'll look at the next pool. So I want to know what you're going to do with this. All right, so now vote again. Isn't this great? You get to vote early and often, and it's all legitimate. And I hope everybody had a great Greens St. Patty's Day yesterday. I ate Irish soda bread on your behalf. Okay, so let's close the poll. And let's see that most of you are going to just take advantage of everything, which is great. The next workshop on an individual tool is coming up March 31st, and that one is on, let me say it right, branding. It's called Perception is Everything. And our individual webinars on the tools are $10. The introductory webinar is free. So I do hope you'll continue to join me. I will be doing 2 of these new Growth Wheel webinars every month. I don't assume everybody will come, but what I found in looking at the results in the past is that some people have done 2 of the 5 webinars I've done in the past, and some people have 3 and 4. So see, if they fit you, great. If they don't, great. But just know that I'll be doing this every month, all year long. It's keeping me learning. So let's talk a little bit about setting up an appointment in the state of Illinois. Again, I said the sessions are free. You can meet in person by phone. You'll be expected to complete an SBDC intake form if you haven't already. You can expect to spend 50 minutes or so together with your counselor. So in the state of Illinois and for WBDC, you should call this number right here, extension 100, and that's how you'll set up your free counseling appointment. If you've established 3 years or more, ask to meet with Cynthia. If you're pre-started up to 3 years emerging, then you should let the scheduler know that you attended this workshop, and she can schedule you with me, Deborah Miner-Harvey, Nicole Mandeville, Rebecca Diaz. So those are some of the people that you can meet with. Okay, couple more polls, you lucky people. Next poll. We want to know if you are a veteran, interested in opening a child care business, already in child care, or an established business. And let's just, almost all of you, half of you have voted. Almost there. And once again, I appreciate this information because these webinars, the reason we can bring these webinars to you for such a low cost is that we are supported by certain grants and donations. And so our funders like to know this information. So, okay, none of the above. So there we go. Thank you very much. Now, oops, excuse me, here I am, and it's your turn to ask some questions. So let's look and see what other questions you might have. And you can type them in the question section. And I will be here. I will also look to see if any of you are raising your hands with a question. Looks like Megan has her hand raised. Okay, Megan, I'm going to unmute you, and this will take a second or two. But can you hear me, Megan? I'm hoping Megan's still there. I think I may have lost her. Sergio, it looks like you had a question. I hope it has answered. All right, I'm looking at any other questions. I don't see them, but I am happy to answer any of them. So if anybody still has a question, give it the old college try. Oh, there's a question. Okay, Jennifer. Do people script out their talking points before answering the phone with potential questions? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so do people script out their talking points before answering the phone with potential clients? Yes, you should, particularly when you're new. This is very important because you will ramble all over the place if you're like most people. And so I would strongly encourage you to think through the kinds of problems that your clients are going to have, think through the kinds of solutions that you're going to provide them with, and be ready to be a consultant with them to join in their problem solving with the solutions you provide. Any other questions? Good, there's another question. So, Meg, I have to respond to a potential customer with some details. Can you help me with it? Of course. Set up a counseling session over the phone, Sergio, and we'll have that conversation as soon as we can. And I'm thrilled that you have a potential customer. Yay! I can smell the coffee already. Then we hear from Jennifer. She said, I was thinking about creating a bullet list of topics to keep near the phone. Yes, indeed. When I first started coaching, I kept about a list of 50 questions, and it was on a laminated, like, bookmark. So the questions were, you know, the lines of the questions were narrow, so I could see the question pretty much all at a quick glance. And that really helped me talk to people, and I was better at it as I went along. So that's great. Okay, so Mila. So Mila, by all means, this question will be answered probably tomorrow night. And you actually need to create the profile of your clients that you'll be looking for, and then we'll talk about that. So the great question, and I'm glad to see that at least 3 or 4 of my people that are in the Plan for Profit group came to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. Great. Any other questions that I can answer? I'm going to stay on the line for another minute or two, so if anybody else has a question they want to write in. Okay, so now I see Mila. Okay, we answered your question. Any other questions? All right, remember that look on our website in twice a month. I told you that the introductory one is April 14th. The next one in the series of single tools is Branding, Perception is Everything. And by the way, I have scheduled these to go around the wheel. So each session, each webinar will deal with a different quarter of the wheel, so that we're really working on different things. In April, on Tax Day, April 15th, we were talking about getting ready for your next employee. And in April, at the end of April, on the 29th, we will talk about how to raise your prices by raising value. So, and I've been working on the June and the May and June entries too. So we've got some nice ones lined up for me in June and for you as well. I think that I want to mention to some of you that we have financial counseling clinics coming up. One is on preparing your business tax returns, coming up March 26th. We have one coming up, a couple coming up in April. One is making your business ready for a loan, and we have another one coming up in the end of April on the 23rd. So those are good. So we have lots of things here to help you. So keep asking. Any other questions? If not, I'm so glad you all could join us, and I look forward to talking to you all again very soon. Thanks very much for joining the call. Goodbye.